There you go. Good
The
morning, everybody.
the Prince of the
11-4.
Profile,
11-4. How are you?
Matt Davio, the Prince of the Profile. Matt,
Okay.
let's just get it out of the way. The election, I said a Trump landslide, and by all accounts, it appeared that I was going to be right yesterday. We had a pretty solid distribution going there, and something that I think was, what I didn't want to see. And I said Trump landslide. I would have actually taken a Biden landslide over what we have right now.
Any landslide would have been fine.
Any landslide would have been better than this. Any reasonable person seeing some of the tallying and how, it just reminds me of somebody took a statistics class in high school, and the teacher said, go and flip a coin 100 times and write it down, right? And the student comes in with, it was heads, it was tails, it was heads, it was tails, it was heads, it was tails, all the way through 100 flips. No more than 2 runs in the 100. And the teacher said, you get an F, you cheated. You never flipped a coin. And he's like, what are you talking about? It's because if you're going to flip a coin 100 times, you're going to have a 3 or 4 or 5 run of one or the other. Statistically, it's impossible to flip the coin 100 times and come up with the distribution that you came up with.
Right.
Any reasonable person looking at some of these add-on vote tallies could say, how in the world of realm of possibilities could there be 150,000 votes for one candidate and none for the other?
All on the mail-in, yes.
All on the mail-in. It's a statistical impossibility.
And, how is it that a country with the technology base that we have here in the United States, supposedly, how is it that we can't count votes? How is it that people are saying, it's Sharpie gate? Why are Sharpies being handed out to right-sided voters? What was that about? Why are they know that a Scantron can't read those? Why are they even in the room, first of all? And that's happened, by the way, in multiple states. So that's a weird one.
I agree.
Everything is strange right now. Trump, he didn't say anything different last night than Biden did. They both basically said they won without saying they won. And how come Biden had only Jeep Wranglers in his drive-in little speech last night? That was weird. What was that all about? There was only Jeeps. The entire, if you look in the crowd of that, when he and his wife came out there, only Jeeps. Weird.
You got the AMC. Is AMC?
Well, AMC might be owned by the CCP right now, so that might have worked out for them. I don't know.
I got to tell you, we talked about this before. I have never been more sick of something in my life. I have never spent the kind of energy in my life around this type of thing.
Right.
And I agree with you 100%. Come on.
How can we not count votes?
I think we need to get Elon Musk on it. I mean,
Right.
Because I see some of those rocket landings and you think that's a video game. That didn't actually just happen. They just landed a rocket that just went to space in the middle of the sea on the deck of a ship.
Right.
We can't count votes. It's ridiculous. It's beyond belief, and an incredible failure for us all. And I'm just sick to death of it. That's all I can say.
Yeah.
And because I am an arrogant bastard, back to a Suds review that's coming up. I hate that thread in me sometimes. That is just that it is not the Catholic upbringing that I was taught anyway. Well, but the first thing that I thought is if the House does flip, and there's some talk about, I don't know if it's close to flipping now. Earlier there was talk that the House could flip to the Republicans. I want to get on to any of these betting prop sites, and if it does, put that prop bet on, and when does the articles of impeachment hit the floor to impeach Biden if he truly is elected?
I'm not following the intricacies of the House votes, but I don't think it was close, but anything's possible at this point, right? I think that's what we're saying, is that we're living in an upside down world. If you don't mind, I want to start real quick here, Bob, with a chart I want to show you just to kind of detail kind of what we saw last night, if you don't mind. And in my opinion, last night, the election was over, and it was over about an hour later than I saw it last time. And that was around 7 p.m. Pacific. So 10 o'clock Eastern.
And that was that big spike down, dollar rally, Euro FX.
Correct. So this is the Euro that I showed. The Euro had been spiking, and then it hit its top right at the 3 o'clock hour, right as the Asian session was preparing to pre-market open. And then Asia took it down like hard, right? And this is an 89-minute chart. So bam, bam, bam. And I'm going to point this out because this is still kind of telling me the unknown is clearly in play here, Bob. That being, even though the market has come back, like it's gone through the moon. I mean, we hit 34.83. I told you I was looking for that 34.80 bracket to come into play. I'm shocked that we hit it today, all in one day. But I think now what the Euro is telling us is that although the dollar has fallen back, it's kind of dangerous right here. Again, just looking at the chart, and I'm just looking at the chart. That's all I can do. I don't know anything about how they're going to count the votes, when they're going to figure it out. All I can do is look at where the charts are today, where the order flow is today. And if I were long Biden, I would be very wary of what I'm seeing in the markets right now.
And you're saying a long Biden is a continuation of that chart going higher.
Correct.
Right.
If Biden were to win, the euro would be stronger, the dollar would get weaker. I fully believe that more than any other asset class that I'm watching right now. It is the U.S. dollar as it relates to the world currencies. So the good news is, so far, the dollar has not made new lows, and
Right.
it's not, and the euro is not really even, it's just kind of bouncing. It's kind of a dead cat bounce. Again, is what we're seeing. It came back into the top of the hole here. And even if it got up to another dollar higher, 118.5 or so, it's still bearish to me. So that's the warning sign for me. And then if you were to, let's just bring up a couple things real quick. Bitcoin hit a new high here, right? So
Right.
that kind of goes along with, hey, I don't know I don't know how to break it. It's just kind of in the trend. We're not, we made a new marginal high. We're just ticking high. So they're basically taking out stops. I don't know what to make of that, but gold is actually seeing lower pricing today. All right. Which is interesting because the dollar's lower. That doesn't make any sense. So
right, exactly. Well, we live in the upside down world. So
correct.
Again,
but I do want to point this stuff out because these are things that we look at as traders. The dollar, again, had spiked up here to about 94.40. Again, not a new high in the move. And if it had gotten over 94.70, watch out. This thing's going to go higher for sure. So they protected it right now, but nothing has changed. We're still in the zone, right?
Right.
So this whole unknownness that we were lamenting about in the beginning as it relates to politics is also still ingrained into this market. And finally, I'll real quickly, I'm just going to throw up the chart on the S&Ps. And again, this rally, folks, you got to remember Friday, we were trading 32.20. Okay, so 34.80 is the top of the value zone. And I said this last Friday, we'll probably rally up into this zone again. And this will kind of be the last gasp. Well, so far we've rallied into the zone. We came right into this hole up in here at 34.8, 70, 80. And guess what? We've fallen back. We're trading 34.60 or so right now. So now we have 3 hours left in today's day. Nobody knows what's going to happen. I think we're going to be kind of in this stasis.
Well, for sure. I mean, I don't see how there isn't a recount when you see that abnormality on the I mean, I don't want to call it ballot box stuffing, but when you get that big of a spike of all one way, 100% of the votes to one candidate, but I guarantee you, any reasonable, rational person, if this was an election in Bolivia, and all of a sudden the one candidate got 150,000 votes and the other candidate got nothing, any reasonable person looks at it and says, "Well, I have to question that."
What are we in Chicago?
In Chicago, you vote early and vote often, and your dead relatives vote. See, that's what people don't understand. It's like, don't bullshit a bullshitter, right? Don't talk to somebody about corruption that didn't grow up around it. You know, my brother, please just don't do it to me. You're insulting me and my intelligence. You know, Chicago's the city that works because envelopes get passed all the time. All right, corruption is in the DNA of the city. So, you know, and back to the blockchain. One thing that, and we discussed this about you, the first thing that I liked about the blockchain was that its very premise is that people can act badly, right? And people always act in their own self-interest. And therefore, if we can come up with a system that can take people out of it, right, you're probably going to end up with a fairer, more equitable system, i.e. the voting. Like, how in the hell can we not figure out voting? It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
I'm getting too irritated to even, anyway. But that's why trading was always a great thing, because you're irritated, you know.
But let me talk a little bit. We can drop this after this. But what happened last night, and I'm not saying this with any bias except for how I look at markets. What happened last night, and this happened in 16, the dollar started rallying. The SPOOs were selling off hard. They turned. Yesterday it was kind of the same thing. The SPOOs had sold off down to,
right.
You know, they took out yesterday's low, 33.20, and then they returned, right? They shot up again. And that's when they shot up, I was like, oh, and that's right when all the numbers were looking like Trump's up 700,000 in Michigan, 800,000 in Philadelphia. He was up half a million in Wisconsin, right? All these crazy numbers with 88% voted. I'm like, how can you not call this? There's no votes left to even swing that much. Like, it doesn't exist. There's not that many votes out there. Like, the math doesn't jive, right? It would be like, Bob, here's what it would be like. It would be like the Tampa Bay Giants game on Monday night, where Tampa Bay was favored by 10, and they go up 49-0, and there's 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter, and you go to bed and you turn on the game, and even, you know, they only scored one touchdown, the Giants, but they gave them 51 points. Basically, Roger Goodell came in and decided that game was worth more to him as a Giants fan than it was as the GOAT fan.
Let me tell you something, too.
This is exactly what has happened.
Let me just throw this conspiracy at you. Fox News calling Arizona for Biden early. It was like,
what?
This is how my mind works. It's like, listen, man, I'm really stuck on this Trump bet. Can you call Arizona for Biden? Because I gotta get out of this.
Well, just Sunday or Saturday or Monday, they had 65 miles of Trump voters in cars on the desert. I'm like, really? And all of a sudden, Biden just swept through there?
You know, it reminds me of a trading pit, and then watching the price discovery. Let's go back to crypto, right? And this happened in the trading pit. Let's face it, there's bad actors everywhere that you hang out, right? And so the market would be 3-bid at 4, 3-bid at 4. All of a sudden, somebody's like 5-bid, 8-bid, 10-bid. Then the order filler is like 12 on 100, 15 on 100, 20 on 100. Sold at 15, at 12, at 10, at 05. You know, like somebody knew that stop was there, right? And they rallied the market, set the stop off. And you people that would trade it on the trading floor, please say that never happened. Okay, yeah, sure, it never happened.
Yeah.
But I see it all the time, and especially some of these marginal exchanges in crypto where there's a 5-minute or even a 1-minute candle that, you know, is just gone to the roof and then right back down. You're like, all right, like somebody's not trading the book, like somebody doesn't have the information on those stocks. Right. Come on. And again, it goes back to common sense.
Yeah.
Right now, either I have zero common sense, and of course 160,000 people could vote for Biden and nobody in Trump in one dump of a bag of mail, or I do have common sense, and that.
Or they were all filled in at the same place and delivered in the same bag.
I don't know. I freaking hate it. I'm over it. I'd much rather talk price discovery, betting lines, right?
But the betting lines is what I'm talking about. What happened last night is Trump was an underdog coming into the night. He then became, it became even 4 o'clock Pacific. And then by 7 o'clock, it literally, and if you were watching, I don't care what channel you were watching the election polls come, or not the polls, but the numbers
coverage.
come in. If you saw those numbers, you were like, oh, this is like over. Like, I don't even know why they're delaying it. Why are they delaying giving Michigan, Wisconsin, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, Georgia? All 5 of those, by the way, had Trump up 500,000 people. 500,000. That's not insignificant populations, right? Because
especially since most of the polling was so close.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, tons of the polling.
they were tight races. So fine. If there was 500,000 left, it's split. There's no way mathematically. This is the thing. And the market knew it. And then all of a sudden, by 11, it was no. You know, Biden's coming on to say he's won it, which he did, and nobody complained about that. And then Trump came on and said he won it, and then everybody got mad. So just look at how the reactions come from the media when both say the same thing, right? The same game is, again, use your common sense, people. If you can't use your common sense, then trading is going to be hard. And common sense is perverse many times. And we are in one of these. We are in one of these right now where common sense is not prevailing.
No, it isn't. And there's no arbiter of truth. There's no ability to debate because everything goes to an emotional pitch immediately. I tell you what, even one thing that I did see that stuck out in my mind was how well Trump did in every group that was traditionally very, very Democratic leaning. So African-American women, 4% to 8%, he doubled it. African-American men, 12% to 18 or 20%. There's an awakening going on here that is going to last for sure past this election cycle.
What did the Latino vote look like?
Yeah, and people are using common sense, right? I think in a greater degree of what are people's outcomes, man? What's actually going on the ground? Why is it the way it is? And that's my only hope that you know, outcome specific ideologies take prevalence over everything else. Anyway, speaking of outcomes, I have a young nephew who I spoke with yesterday or the day before, and he was doing some research and he came up with a couple of ETFs that he was thinking about investing in. And they are ARKK and ARKW. ARKK is ARK Innovation ETF, New York Stock Exchange. ARKK is the symbol. And he asked me what I thought from a technical point of view, because, you know, he's a younger guy, right? And he thinks that innovation is the wave of the future. And he wants to invest long-term. And if you go out to a longer time frame, Matt, you know, because that's what I kind of wanted to look at, either a daily or I'm not sure how long the ETF's actually been trading. But again, there it is. It seems to me like such a moonshot.
And actually, the break happened, and now it's coming to test the value line right now. It's right at it where we are today, which again kind of fits into this common sense thesis that we're talking about. We're seeing this snapback in the rally. Whether Trump, I think markets typically would. By the way, I'll say this: whether Trump and or Biden wins, the best thing for markets is a clean, fair election that gets over quickly, right? Period. And so markets always rally, usually the day after a win. It doesn't matter because somebody won. That's the point. The system works is what that vote is showing, is that markets make sense for a while. So it really doesn't matter who wins. I mean, but the longer we go in dragging this out, the more pressure it will put on U.S. stock indices and stocks in general. So what we're seeing today is a short-term reaction, right? It's a positive reaction, but we still don't have the results of this vote. And ultimately, I think you got to come back to where the market profile and the order flows are until we can actually get above the old highs, 107. And we're trading at 98.50, 98 or so right now on this ARKK that I brought up.
Right.
And it's a great sell right here. Boom. Today. Sell it. If you own it, sell it. Not the time to be buying it.
And hey, I'm waving on the set. Hi, Matt.
Hey, Bob.
So again,
The other one,
me,
ARKW, again, next generation internet, right? So we're talking technology internet. I don't know what makes up these two ETFs. The
right.
volume on this one, it averages about 846 a day, thousand. On the other, it averages 3.3 million. So I guess I would look at one's basically the QQQ. It's the overall innovation. That's like, it's like probably a smaller microcosm of the QQQ. And then the ARKW is probably more internet, IO of things, internet of things, whatever. It's everything internet related.
But again, I mean, for me, when we talked about this, I'm like, my first look at that chart is like, why am I jumping in here? I mean, there's got to be a better, for me, I always think that there's a better trade setup than this. I might miss it, but it's gone so far.
Again, when we've gone 3x, 30 to 122, we've gone 4x.
Yeah.
I don't want to buy it here. I mean,
I don't want to buy it either. But, I don't mind having it on my radar. And if it rolls, there are places where you would want to own it. It's just, I said it's like Bitcoin at 18,000. Yeah, it could go to 40. I'm like, yeah, that's great. But it could go to 7 really quick too. And it actually went to 3. So risk reward.
Let's talk about, I did not see what happened. Nationally, I saw what happened with the marijuana stocks. Everywhere where marijuana was on the board, it has passed, and we're making new move highs today. And this is the one we've talked about as kind of a barometer for the business. Canopy, right? It's the big daddy. It's the big publicly traded company. And we talked about this when it was down testing that 14s, that this thing looks like it's ready to explode into the elections. Boom, here we are. It's up 50%, right? So that was a great trade, right? Where you marry the fundamentals and the news flow that's coming. You're out ahead of it. The chart lines up with what is on the ballot and what has been happening across the country. Marijuana legalizing itself state by state by state. We're probably now up to about 30 states that have a combination recreational medical, and that's significant. So here's another thing that was bullish coming into the elections, and if you played it well, and again, the profile, I mean, I can't explain any better how that just sat there right in the 13s, right in October. I mean, this was just a month ago. You could have picked this up and had a 50% hit here in less than a month of trading. Folks, I don't know about you, but that's a great trade in my book.
Right on. All right, Matt. That's all I got right now. That's all I got. Hey,
Thanks, Bobby.
Actually, I don't. I got one other thing. Let me see if I can bring it up here quickly. Hold on. We're going to go through the method of my madness. Dropbox. No, not there. All right, man. There it is. Hold on. I'm going to little shout out to the CME. How about with this? We got a new contract coming at the CME, and it is, whoa, where it disappeared. Anyway, it's the pork cutout contract. Right now, lean hogs traded at the CME. Lean hogs, that's the full animal, right? And the cutout is all the parts, right? The picnic,
parts,
the ribs, the butts, the loins, all the great cuts from that most magical animal. As Homer Simpson said, ham and ribs and bacon from the same animal. It's like magical. Anyway, the cutout, generally speaking, a little more volatile, and like you need more volatility in your ag trading. Acts more like bacon, pork bellies. Remember Trading Places?
Mortimer.
Pork bellies and orange juice futures. So
I
can't wait to start talking.
I'm a big fan of the OJ and coffee futures, Bobby. Big fan.
Yeah. When they start moving, look out. And you want to talk about never marrying a position. Whew. And I expect
even lumber's done that this year.
Yeah, lumber, absolute moonshot, right?
Yep.
Anyway, super excited to start producing some content around the pork cutout. We will be adding it to the Market Vitals sheet along with the calendar spreads, and also developing the lean hog pork cutout, the spread between the two, and lots of different ways to trade the cutout, for sure. And we're going to have, at least we're going to have the vitals on it, right? Give me the vitals.
Yep.
What's the value range? What's the standard deviation modeling telling you? Is there a pivot model that gives me, solid risk and reward targets that I can actually act upon? Anyway, it starts trading.
Join us here, marketvitals.io. We've got new members coming in. We'd love to have you on the trading floor with us here. And
right, in the virtual pit in the matrix.
The virtual pit. Push-up contests, hot dog eating contests.
Listen, man,
your favorite boxers.
Tomorrow, I'm going to. I was inspired by Kevin O'Leary, Mr. Wonderful on the Shark Tank, and he was strumming his guitar just before he did some sort of thing on LinkedIn, and I'm going to strum I got to reach out to Kevin because he, like me, is an average guitar player, but he really gets into it and enjoys it.
Right.
And I would love to collaborate with Kevin. I got a couple blues tunes. He looks like he can play some blues leads.
Yeah.
We'll preview it on tomorrow's show.
All right.
All right, pal.
Bobby.
Have a great day.
Thank you.